Welcome back to part 2 of Peaceful Brain Body Parenting. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest this as a starting point as we talked about the brain-body connection and what happens when we flip our lid. In this second part, we'll focus on strategies to help our children when they're dysregulated. This part is approximately 45 minutes in length. Please feel free to pause your screen throughout. Step number 1 is to regulate yourself. Stop what you're doing, drop your agenda, and breathe. This is often the hardest part as a parent because our agendas are important. Stop talking. As soon as you notice yourself losing your temper, close your mouth. If you can't stop making noise, hum, but close your mouth. If it feels good coming out, you probably shouldn't be saying it to your child. Drop it. Step away from the situation, let it go for a moment. It's not an emergency. And if it is an emergency, get everyone out of danger and then come back to this process. Breathe deeply 10 times. Shake out your hands to get out of the fight, flight, or freeze response. Now you have a choice about how you want to act. Remind yourself that you're the grown-up and your child is learning from everything you do right now. You can say to your child, "I'm working hard to stay calm. I don't want to yell. Let me calm down and then we can try a do-over." Calm your body in a way that works for you. Deep breaths, say a mantra, splash cold water on your face. When I'm feeling triggered, I turn my body away from my kids so they can't see my face because it shows a lot. I clench my fists or I put my hand on my heart and I ask myself, how do I want my kids to remember me as a parent when they're grown up? Because I definitely don't want them to have memories of me as yelling or hitting or throwing things. When you're out of fight or flight, and you will know this because your child will no longer look like the enemy, but rather like your beloved baby again, you can offer to try a do-over. When you're upset, what would it help for you to hear? What would be calming for you? Some examples are on this slide. You can add to the list or pick a few to try out. Write them down on sticky notes and put them where they'll be seen, on your dashboard, your mirror, or your refrigerator. Step 2 is to create the connection with your child. When a child is upset, we typically react in one of two ways. We run in and try to contain. "What's going on in here? Why can't I leave you alone for 5 seconds without this happening? You're lucky to have toys." Or we run in and cheerlead. "What happened? What's the matter? What can I do?" There's a third way that can work even better, the calm technique, where we let the child be in the moment just for a few seconds so we can deeply listen and attune. You can correct later if you need to, but often if you do the calm technique, you don't have to correct. So, say your child built a big Lego tower and it fell apart and you run in and say, "Oh my gosh, you were working so hard on that. When I came in here a few minutes ago, it looked fantastic. What happened?" I know that it sounds counterintuitive or the opposite of what you should be doing, but in so many cases, the child just needs to be heard. And when they're heard and understood, something incredible happens. Natural opiates in the brain and the hormone oxytocin release in the bloodstream and calm the child down at the cellular level. There's no reason for the child to keep screaming because they've been understood. When we contain and say something like, "Oh, just start again and build another one. It will probably be better." Our intentions are to teach a valuable lesson, but our children feel invalidated and that we don't understand, and they escalate until we do understand. So attempts to de-escalate backfire and the child escalates. Containment is important. Children need us to set limits, but if we start with containment, there will be escalation, especially with children who are big feelers. The calm technique is about connecting before containment, responding before redirecting. We are human, and it is impossible to be neutral and calm all of the time. And if we were, that would mess up our kids too. When you lose it, you can go back and repair. If you can infuse the calm technique into your parenting, you will see your children being more resilient, emotionally organized, connected to you, and affectionate. Their social skills will improve, and their behaviors with siblings will improve. You first start by connecting. Put the phone down, turn the TV off. Really look into your child's eyes and be present with them in this moment. Use your body to indicate that you're deeply listening. You don't have to drop everything all of the time, but you really want to try and be present as much as you can. Let them share with you what they're feeling. Empathize, but don't try to fix it. You want your child to feel like you are the person who really gets them. Next is affect matching. The look on your face needs to match the look on your child's face. So if your child is upset that the classmate she likes doesn't like her back, you don't want to be smiling and saying, "Oh, that's so cute, you have a crush." No, you want to be saying, "Oh my gosh, that's so hard, you really liked him." This is hard to do as a parent because we want to make our child's pain go away. You may not be experiencing the same emotions, but you're letting them know that you're really understanding their experience in the moment. Don't tell them how they should be feeling, and do not try to fix it, as this could escalate the distress. The next step is to listen. Paraphrase, clarify, summarize, or wonder out loud. This way you can really listen to what your child is saying. Have them feel that they've really been heard. The way you say it is incredibly important. It has to be genuine. If you're doing this while thinking, "Oh my God, kid, just go to sleep," it's not going to work. You really have to suspend your agenda, step into your child's world, and see the situation from their point of view. When you do, those incredible reward chemicals created in your child's brain will calm them down. So, say your child is refusing to put a snowsuit on. You can connect, affect match, and listen, and it can sound like this. "I totally get it. I don't want to wear my winter coat either. It's bunchy and it's hot. And you don't want to be the only person at school wearing your snowsuit when everyone else is wearing a fall coat. I totally get it." As soon as you do this, you demonstrate that you understand what the child is thinking. You can do this for 3 to 4 statements. What will happen is eventually they'll put the coat on. And I don't want you to say, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you so much." Instead, be nonchalant. "Great, amazing, let's go." Step number 4 is mirroring. Mirroring is when we step into the moment with the child. It's not about agreeing, it's about getting. You can completely disagree, but you can step into their world and understand why they're upset. Active listening and mirroring are 2 different techniques. Active listening can be like the customer service response, and you can feel that giant no coming. Don't use sentence starters like "it sounds like," or "it feels like," or "it must be." This can be really insulting. Who are the people you want to talk to when you're upset? Think about the best friend response. If you're able to do the calm technique 85 to 90% of the time, you might get some grumbling, but you will get compliance. Keep in mind, this technique does not have to happen when somebody is upset. You can do the same technique when people are happy too. Dr. Mona Delahook has a similar technique which she refers to as the love technique. Look at your child with soft eyes. We soften our hearts and communicate a message of acceptance, warmth, and affection. Observe without judgment. Instead of deeming behavior as good or bad, we notice our child's face, gestures, and body, and are open to the idea that we have something valuable to learn from observing. Validate your child's experience when you witness struggles. If your child is struggling, calmly try a serve and return that's soothing and connecting rather than judgmental or evaluative. Experience safety together by sharing your green pathway with your child through serve and returns. Serve and returns are co-regulation involving a back and forth interaction, a rhythm of shared connection and warmth. The serve and return of co-regulation can be as simple as a smile or as strong as a rough and tumble play, as long as there's back and forth and it's pleasurable. There are daily habits that we can use to strengthen the connection that we have with our children. When you physically reconnect, for example, after a long day of work, consciously refocus your attention to your child. I know how difficult it is to leave work at work. Delight in your child. When you walk into the room and see them, give a bright smile, or when you walk past, give them a gentle touch. Create small rituals with your children. For example, 5 minutes of snuggling every morning to transition from sleep to executive functioning. Often we use TV to transition, which further disconnects. Leave evenings for family time. Turn off your phone and computer and eat dinner together. Turning off your technology when you interact with your child demonstrates to them that they're valuable and important. Instead of yelling at your child to keep them moving through the morning routine, empower them by helping to make a chart with photos of them doing each task and let them be in charge while you just smile and point to the chart, asking what needs to be done next. Connect on your child's level. Give them a hug hello, provide eye contact, and a warm connection. Try not to let little rifts build up. Have conversations to strategize solutions to the problems. Remember the 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positive interactions for every negative interaction. Set a goal of 12 hugs a day, and as you hug goodbye, tell them you can't wait to see them the next afternoon or hear all about their day. Remember to say, have fun, instead of be good. Spend 10 to 15 minutes of special time with each child every day, just following their lead and pouring your love into them. This habit alone can transform your relationship with your child. Special time should be free of distraction, and you should resist the urge to structure the time with activities and homework and instead allow the child to lead. If they want to use couch cushions to build a fort, say yes. Let them be the director and tell you what to do. Roughhousing and giggling is a good way to take the edge off worry and can create a bond. Stop and start special time with a timer and connect with your child about the disappointment that they have when the timer goes off. You can say something like, of course you're upset that special time is over. I had such a good time with you and I can't wait for our special time tomorrow. Special time creates a space for parents' full, attentive, loving connection, which reduces neediness throughout the day. It also assists in reconnection after separations, which allows children to be happier and more cooperative. Special time provides a place to unpack that emotional backpack we were referring to earlier and convinces your child that they really matter to you. If we believe that children only do well if they want to, we assume when a child isn't doing well, it's because they won't or they don't want to do well. So that implies that the adult's primary job is to make the child want to do well. Typically, that would lead to rewarding the behaviors you like or punishing the behaviors you don't like. If you're right and your child can do it, this may work. But if your child is not capable of doing well, all the rewards and punishment won't change that. The problem behavior might not improve or it might get worse. What happens if we assume that children want to do well, but sometimes they're not able to yet? Here, the adult's primary job is to figure out what's getting in the child's way and how to help them get past it. Instead of jumping ahead to fix the behavior, first figure out what the core issue is. What's hard for them? Think about the environments or situations where the challenging behavior appears. What are the stressors in that environment, and how could you reduce them? What skills are they lacking that would help them to be successful? How can you teach those crucial skills? What unmet needs in the child might be causing this behavior? Can you address those? There are steps that we can take on a daily basis to nurture emotional intelligence in our children. After we go through these steps, we'll talk about what to do when emotions run high. Acknowledge your child's perspective and empathize. You don't need to fix whatever your child is upset about, but you do need to empathize. We all know how good it feels to have our position acknowledged. Somehow it just makes it easier when we don't get our way. Allow expression of emotion, even while limiting actions. Your child's feelings are legitimate. What they need from you is coaching on a better way to express them. Respond to the needs and feelings behind the problem behavior. Troublesome behavior signals big feelings or unmet needs. If you don't address the feelings and needs, they'll just burst out later, causing other problem behavior. So instead of scolding a child who's acting up or dawdling, you might say, "You're having a hard time this morning. Starting school has been fun, but you missed time with Mom. I'll be right here to pick you up after school, and we'll snuggle and play together and have special time." When a desire can't be granted, acknowledge it and grant it through wish fulfillment. It's amazing how often you can get through an impasse by giving your child their wish via imagination. Partly this is because it shows you really do care about what your child wants, but there's another fascinating reason. Imagining that our wish is fulfilled actually satisfies us for the moment, meaning our brain actually looks satisfied on a brain scan. Giving your child their wish in imagination releases some of the urgency behind it, so they're more open to alternatives. Tell the story so your child understands their emotional experience. When our child is emotional, they're acting from the right side of their brain. Those emotions need to be acknowledged and felt, or they will hijack the child. So, the first step in emotion coaching is always to empathize with our child's feelings. But then we need to help bring them back to the left side of their brain, the logic side. That helps to make sense of what's happening so the child doesn't feel simply at the mercy of emotions sweeping through them. To do that, name the feeling, "You're so disappointed," and then tell the story. "Yes, that's right. When we went to the dentist, you were scared at first and refused to open your mouth, but you held my hand and you were very brave, and the dentist said that you're doing a great job brushing." Teach problem solving. Emotions are messages, not mud for wallowing in. Most of the time, once children feel that their emotions are understood and accepted, the feelings lose their charge and begin to dissipate. This leaves an opening for problem solving. Sometimes kids can do this themselves. Sometimes they need your help to brainstorm. But resist the urge to solve the problem for them. That gives your child the message that you don't have confidence in their ability to handle themselves. Play it out. Play is how children process experience. Most any emotional issue your child is having will respond to play. It's useful to regulate behaviors, like saying, "You're Superman today. You are so powerful. Can you help me push the shopping cart fully through the aisles?" Step number 3 is to coach, not control your child. When storm clouds brew, even the most well-intentioned parent can get triggered and escalate the upset rather than calm it. But that's when your child most needs your help to regulate themselves. Regulate your own feelings so that you can welcome your child's big emotions and help them to vent. When we maintain our composure, it communicates to our child that there's no emergency, even if they feel like there is one in the moment. This helps your child to feel safer. Get down on their level, put an arm around them, look them in the eye, and set your most compassionate limit. "No cookie now, sweetie. It's almost dinner time." This will certainly launch your child into a meltdown. Set whatever limits are necessary to keep everyone safe while acknowledging the anger. "You are so angry at me for not letting you have a cookie, and at the same time, no hitting. I will keep us both safe." If your child is angry instead of crying, help them surface the fear by lovingly confronting the defiance. "Sweetie, you just threw your toy at the cat. That scared the cat. Toys are not for throwing." Look them in the eye, stay calm. They will either go blank, look away in shame, or look straight at you in defiance. Regardless, reach out for them. "Sweetie, I see how upset you are, and at the same time, I can't let you hurt the cat." At this point, your child will almost certainly refuse to meet your eyes. They may twist away angrily. That's because feeling the love coming from your eyes will melt their heart and flood them with all those hurting feelings that they've been hiding away. Naturally, that's scary for kids. They will burst into tears, which is what you want to empty that emotional backpack, or they will lash out angrily. If your child gets angry, stay connected. Never send a child away to calm down by themselves. That just gives the message that they're all alone to manage those big, scary feelings. If you can, hold them so that you won't get hurt. If you can't hold them without getting hurt, but you can touch them, try to do that in a soothing way. If you know what's going on, acknowledge it. "You were so angry that I won't let you have that cookie." But if you don't know what's going on, just say what you see. "You feel so bad right now." Create safety. You want the tears to come to wash the feelings away, like cleaning a wound. Try not to talk too much during the meltdown because it moves your child from their heart to their head and dries up the tears. You can keep an occasional voice bridge of soothing sounds and safety-inspiring words. I will stay right here. You're safe. You definitely don't want to analyze, evaluate, or try to calm them down. In fact, you want to help them reach that hurting place so you can compassionately remind them of whatever triggered them if you have to. You really wanted that cookie. I'm so sorry. If your child yells at you to go away, say, I will step back a little to be right here, but I won't leave you alone with these big, scary feelings. I'm right here and you're safe. Since being close to you increases a child's sense of safety, it also increases the flow of upset feelings that are swamping them. So they may want to get away from you to stop those feelings. But just because they want you to go away doesn't mean they don't need you there. When kids calm down, they usually say they didn't really want us to leave. Ignore any rudeness during a meltdown. Don't take it personally and resist the urge to retaliate. This is not the time to teach appropriate behavior. These feelings aren't about you, even when they're yelling that they hate you. When your child says, "You never understand," try to hear that as information about them. At this moment, they feel like they're never understood. If they yell, "I hate you," answer, "I hear how angry you are and how much you hate the way you feel right now. I love you no matter how angry you are. I will always love you no matter what." Remember that your child may be reliving something scary or painful. When a child clears out fears they're repressing, the body needs to move, to save itself as it wanted to when the upsetting thing first happened. This is true for both big traumas, like a medical intervention in which someone held them down, or a smaller trauma like mom or dad yelling. This is a natural healing process by which the body releases trauma and restores goodness. So if your child seems to be fighting for their life, it's because they're re-experiencing all that arousal of flight or fight that they felt in the original circumstance. They may need to move their legs as if they're running or struggle against those arms holding them down. You'll know the body is releasing if it gets sweaty or cold or suddenly needs to pee or vomit. Many kids really like to push against our hands. Sometimes it helps to hold the child in our arms with their back towards us so they're flailing away from us. They may arch their back or throw their head back against you. Obviously, don't let them hurt you and move out of reach if necessary to stay safe. Use a soothing voice to keep an emotional bridge. You're safe. It's okay to let out all of those feelings. Nothing can hurt you. I'm right here. Keep breathing and stay calm. When a child is working on old fears, they can go on like this for an hour or more. That's how big the fear was to them. You're giving a tremendous gift. Remind yourself that this is the help your child was seeking when they started to act out in the first place. Once the fears are cleared, they can be liberated. Honor the grief. Sometimes children will finish this hard emotional work, look up at you, and change the subject. That's fine. They're signaling that they're done for now. Don't worry, if there's more to get out, it will come up another time. Follow the lead into the new subject. But often after children express their fears, they collapse into your arms in tears. Crying is the way to let out the deepest sadness and begin to heal. Let them cry as long as they want. If they stop, make eye contact. If they're able to hold your gaze, they've let out what they need to. If they're not able to hold your gaze, you can help them release more pent-up emotion by reminding them of whatever upset them to begin with. I'm sorry I didn't give you the cookie. Afterward, reassure your child of your love. Children often need your reassurance that you still find them acceptable despite all their upsetting feelings. Once the storm passes, your child will be free of the feelings that were holding them down with such rigidity. Now they can be more flexible. They may fall asleep, or you may go on to have a wonderful evening together. They'll be more connected to you because you tether them through this inner tornado. Help your child make sense of the experience. This is not so much about teaching a lesson because your child already knows the expected behavior, they just couldn't control those big emotions. Your goal is to help them understand that they were swamped by emotions and it's okay. Language is what helps us make sense of our emotion. Eventually, the understanding provided by words will reassure your child that they're safe even when swamped by emotion. You were so sad when I said no. You got very mad and threw your cup. Then you cried. That was hard work. I listened. Everything's okay. I'm always here if you need to show me your feelings. I love you so much. Wait to teach. While your child is vulnerable after the meltdown is not the time to have a discussion about the transgression. If you feel you must teach, wait until after your child is calm to remind them about appropriate behavior, preferably with a light touch that acknowledges they already know the rule. What are cups for? Oh, right, to drink from, not to throw, right? Let's get you a drink of water. If the damage was more severe, like they hurt a person emotionally or physically, the message needs to be more serious about the effect on that person, but the timing still needs to happen after they're calm and aware of the desire for repair. Expect to see more meltdowns for a few weeks, now that your child trusts your safe presence. If you can't take time at the moment they launch into a tantrum, you can say, I love you, and I can't listen right now. I will listen to all your feelings after dinner. Just make sure to keep your promise and talk to them after dinner. You may have to go through a month of this kind of witnessing to help your child free themselves of the pent-up emotions that were driving the behavior. But because they're getting rid of these upsetting feelings that are driving the child to act out, you'll find them having fewer meltdowns over time, and in between you'll notice that they're happier and more cooperative. Instead of taking the position that you will never give in to a tantrum, remember that you can say no to your child and still be compassionate and validating. When your child has a meltdown because you cut their sandwich the wrong way, don't make a new sandwich, but remind yourself that tantrums signal distress, not defiance. Stay close and compassionate so they feel safe enough to cry and empty all those upsets out of the emotional backpack. You'll have a much better evening. Even in tough moments, you're on the same side as your child. I often get the same questions and concerns from parents after I share the strategies that I have shared with you today. I'm going to go through the top 5. Question number 1. How will my child learn if I don't punish? Punishment is visiting something painful, physically or emotionally, on a child in the hopes that they will behave as we'd like in the future to avoid more punishment. If our child hits and we respond by spanking, sending them to their room, or rescinding screen privileges, that's a parent-imposed consequence, otherwise known as a punishment. Children learn what they live. Punishing teaches them that hurting others is okay. Acting rudely towards your kids by threatening or yelling teaches them that being inconsiderate is okay. Offering love in the face of emotional upset role models meeting pain with compassion. It teaches emotional intelligence and that anger is an inevitable part of being human and that anger can be handled responsibly. It increases our child's love for us and their desire to please us. Natural consequences are consequences that occur without parental influence. We all learn that if we don't remember our lunch, we'll go hungry. If your child hits another child and the child doesn't want to play with him anymore, that's a natural consequence. But if the parent is involved in deciding the consequence, that is not a natural consequence. That is a punishment. That doesn't mean we don't set limits. If our child is hitting and we remove them from the situation by saying, no hitting, time to go, we'll try again tomorrow, we're enforcing our limit that hitting is unacceptable. But it's not a punishment because we aren't trying to cause pain. We're simply setting a clear limit to prevent more hitting. Limits are most effective when we set them with as much empathy as we can because that helps the child work through the feelings driving the hitting and prevents it in the future. We all want our children to do right, but research shows that children become more moral and more able to do right when they're raised without punishment. Kids who are punished are worried about avoiding punishment, not about doing what's right, so they won't necessarily do right if the parent isn't watching. They're more likely to lie and less likely to take responsibility. They're more frightened, angrier, and less in control of their emotions. They tend to feel worse about themselves and don't develop as much empathy or caring for others, and so are less likely to do the right thing. They have a less developed sense of ethics because they're more concerned with force and power. They learn both the victim, which is how they perceive themselves, and the bully, which is how they perceive the parent, so they're more likely to bully. They're more likely to use force to solve problems, and more likely to feel disconnected from and disrespectful towards the parent, and so less open to parents' influence. They don't feel completely safe with parents who punish them and therefore don't fully process their emotions or learn to manage them. Punishment cheats children out of the help they need to manage their emotions. It adds an overlay of shame and guilt that will only make them act worse. It models acting from fear instead of acting from love. It models using force instead of compassion. It models hurting others instead of managing our own emotions. Question number 2. How will my child learn if I don't raise my voice? Yelling is a popular parenting technique, but it doesn't work. And if it did, there would be a lot of really well-behaved kids. If it does work, it's only because your child is terrified. When have you ever been yelled at and your response was, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That is exactly what I needed in this moment. I'm going to fix that problem right now." We have to remember we are big and tall and we have all the power. And when we are screaming, we are far more intimidating than we're meant to be. When kids are scared, they go into fight or flight, and the smart part of their brain shuts down. Your child cannot learn when you yell. When you yell, you lose credibility with your child and impact the connection you have with them. And as a result, they're less open to your influence. It's always more effective to intervene calmly and compassionately. Question number 3. Am I letting my child off too easy? Your child is hurting, and so their misbehavior is an SOS that they need your help. They're acting out because they have big feelings and they can't understand and articulate them verbally. Of course, you set limits and redirect behavior, but your guidance never needs to be mean or scary. You want your child to follow your guidance because they love you and don't want to disappoint you, not because you scare them. Question number 4. Is co-regulating spoiling my child? Coddling is incessantly indulging a child and never saying no. Co-regulating is attending to the child's physical and emotional needs. Co-regulating does not mean that we make sure our child is happy or avoid having our child face any challenges. The key is to observe and view your child's emotional reactions through the lens of your child. Co-regulating means that we shift our priorities. Instead of deciding whether your child's behaviors are good or bad and then managing the behaviors, we examine the behaviors to find the meaning or information about the child's needs and pay attention to the significance of stress held in our child's body. Question number 5. Am I being inauthentic? Your child saw that you were upset. They also saw that you were responsible about managing your own emotions. Being authentic about the truth of your experiences and feelings never requires you to dump your feelings on someone else unfiltered. The feelings you're having about your child, for example, them telling you no, are your feelings. Maybe you're feeling angry, disappointed, disrespected, or exhausted that you've been told no by your child. But the current interaction is only part of it. The other part comes from your past and the way you're seeing the situation based on the past. Were you allowed to say no to your parent growing up? What would happen if you did? Parenting has changed in the last 25 to 30 years, where we've gone from a parent-centered model where children listen to the adult, and there were cultural references that enforced this in TV shows and movies. Now it's a child-centered world, and it's all about the kids. I'm not sure if you've noticed that the TV shows that children are watching have silly and ridiculous adults who don't know anything, and it's the kids that know everything and figure it out. There's layers of information that is given to children that tell them the hierarchy has shifted. It's this shift that is causing more anxiety in children because they need that structure and containment. But they push against it in ways we didn't as young kids. And so when we go back and try to parent in the way we were parented, children will say, "You can't talk to me like that. I'm going to call CAS." When we were kids, children barely acted out in class, and if they did, we were all concerned about what would happen. And now it happens all the time. It's a different world, and the traditional ways don't work. Being too permissive doesn't work either, because kids need us to be in charge, and truthfully, they want us to be. Children get over 250 compliance commands in a day. It's a human's job to resist control or resist being told what to do. We need our children to have positive experiences telling us no or setting a boundary for themselves so in the future they can confidently say no to unsafe or dangerous situations. Most of us learned in childhood that our feelings were unacceptable, even dangerous. Do you remember being told, "Go to your room and don't come out until you're happy"? Or, "You're crying? I'll give you something to cry about." When our own child has a meltdown, the little child inside of us gets triggered, and when danger looms, we feel a sense of panic. We want to get away, or we feel sudden rage and we want to make them shut up, or we go numb. Holding our children with empathy, allowing them to let all those feelings out, accepting the outburst even when it's directed at us, that's a lot to expect from parents. Children have numerous experiences of fear, anger, frustration, and sadness, and they need to express those experiences and have us listen. Over time, this teaches them to befriend their emotions so they can manage them. Our children learn how to regulate their emotions from watching us regulate our own emotions and behaviors. There are ways for us as adults to address the deep-rooted reaction to our children's behavior. Acknowledge your own feelings. Panic in the face of our child's emotions is an issue from our own childhood. The only way to uproot it is to see how it served us when we were little. You can ask yourself, what am I seeing in my child that I had to shut down in myself as a child? You can say to your rising panic, "Thank you for keeping me safe when I was little. I'm grown now. These feelings are okay." Remind yourself that it isn't an emergency. It's natural that I feel this way when my child is upset, but whatever happens, I can handle it. This isn't a threat. It's your beloved child who needs your loving help right now. If your mind persists in setting off alarms and flipping your lid, tell yourself that you will deal with those concerns later, not now. Remind yourself that expressing feelings is a good thing. Your child will feel these feelings no matter what. The only question is whether you make it okay for them to express the feelings or whether you teach them that the feelings are dangerous. Once they feel their emotions, they will dissipate. Remember, behavior increases when it's not being heard. Take the pressure off. You don't have to fix your child or the situation. All you have to do is stay present. Your child doesn't need the red cup or whatever they're crying for. They need your love and acceptance, complete with all their tangled up feelings. Disappointment, rage, grief, they're all okay and will pass without you doing a thing except loving them. Take a deep breath and choose love. Every choice we make is a move towards love or fear. Research shows that it works if you say to yourself, "I choose love." Tolerate the emotion without taking action. You can act later if you want. For now, let yourself feel the emotion by breathing and naming it. Is it anger? What's underneath the anger? Hurt, fear, disappointment? Keep it simple. Your child needs you to witness their outpouring of emotion and to let them know that they're still lovable despite the yucky feelings. Explanations, negotiations, remorse, advice, analysis, or attempts to comfort, like saying, "It's okay, don't cry." Those will all shut down the emotional process. Remember, access to the smart part of the brain has turned off, so we need to hold off on teaching until our children are calm. You can say, "I hear you, everyone needs to cry," or, "When you're ready, I'm here to give you a hug." You may need to find a way to process your own feelings, perhaps with a counselor or someone trusting. In this last segment, we're going to talk about preventative measures that help humans stay in the green zone or get back to the green zone more quickly and effectively. We can create opportunities during the day to be in the green zone. These activities will vary depending on the unique personalities of yourself and your child. Deep breathing is one of the best ways to lower stress in the body. This is because when you breathe deeply, it sends a message to your brain to calm down and relax. The brain sends this message to your body. Breathing exercises are a good way to relax, reduce tension, and relieve stress. Studies have documented the positive impacts that aerobic exercise and other forms of physical movement have on mental health. People who exercise regularly tend to do so because it gives them an enormous sense of well-being. They feel more energetic throughout the day, sleep better at night, have sharper memories, and feel more relaxed and positive about themselves and their lives. Regular exercise can have a profoundly positive impact on depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Often people tell me that they have tried guided meditations and they just can't do it. Their mind travels off to other things. This is exactly the point of meditation. You wouldn't expect a boxer to be good at boxing the first time they step into the ring. They must train in order to be effective. Meditation is the exercise used to strengthen your brain muscle. Every time your brain trails off into thought and you notice it and come back to the meditation, you're doing a sit-up for your brain muscle. The more you do this, the stronger your brain gets and the easier it is to focus on the meditation. Meditation requires the smart part of your brain, and so the more you engage in meditations during stress-free times, when you're in the green zone, the more likely you'll be able to activate that smart part during times of stress, when your brain goes into fight, flight, or freeze. There are excellent apps for guided meditations, including YouTube. I use Insight Timer because it's a free app with thousands of meditations for adults and children that can be searched by theme. Lack of sleep causes irritability, increased stress, forgetfulness, difficulties with learning, and low motivation. Over time, it can contribute to anxiety and depression. Multiple factors influence mental well-being, including nutrition. Studies have found that eating a nutritious breakfast and lunch and more fruits and vegetables is linked to better mental and emotional well-being among children. Children who skip meals are more likely to have a lower well-being score. Healthy eating helps children and young people cope more effectively with stress, better manage their emotions, and get a good sleep, all of which assist in learning. Children who spend more than 2 hours a day on screen time activities scored lower on language and thinking tests. Children with more than 7 hours a day of screen time experienced thinning of the brain's cortex, the area of the brain related to critical thinking and reasoning. Children who watch a lot of television during the early school years performed less well on reading tests and may show deficits in attention. If children spend most of their time engaging with an iPad, smartphone, or the television, all of which are highly entertaining, it can be hard to get them engaged in non-electronic activities, such as playing with toys to foster imagination and creativity, exploring outdoors, and playing with other children to develop appropriate social skills. We should also be careful of relying on using screens to distract a child from a problem rather than having them figure it out and learn to resolve it themselves. Using a favorite song to distract a child who has just fallen and scraped their knee might be okay, but having the parent comfort and cuddle with the child and talk to them is even better. Using screen time to distract children who have trouble sharing a toy will not help them learn how to share and take turns in the future, although it may be a quick fix in the short term. Watching a screen is a form of passive listening or one-way interaction. Back and forth conversation, which involves sharing facial expressions and reacting to the other person in real life, improves language, social interaction, and communication skills in children. As adults, we understand some of the drawbacks and can sometimes make a conscious decision to put our phone down, but for children who don't have any understanding of these concerns, if they've been exposed to the phone or tablet since infancy, it becomes their norm and they want to do more of it. There are two main reasons I encourage parents to set limits on screen time use before bed. First, blue light from screens inhibits the production of melatonin, the natural chemical created in the brain to make us feel sleepy. When we don't produce melatonin, it can delay sleep onset. Second, watching TV or playing games keeps our brains and bodies more alert and activated and less ready for sleep. Screen use actually puts us into fight or flight, and it can take 2 to 3 hours to calm down from activation. Creating a family rule that screens are turned off 1 to 2 hours before bedtime so children have an opportunity to naturally produce melatonin and calm their brains is a healthy habit to get into. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this webinar. I hope that it's provided you with some aha moments. If you'd like to learn more, you can reach out to me directly through email at hello@kendrawagnercounseling.com. Take really good care.